Over the years, I've looked at a number of PragerU videos. Many of them are genuinely baffling, but this one is truly beyond the pale. And apparently there's no one to disagree with that sentiment. PragerU actually pulled this video themselves. They canceled it. I don't think they've ever done that before. However, many PragerU videos are likewise disgraceful. Let's take a look at the opening.
Who was Robert E. Lee?
There are two things to note here. The first is that this monstrosity was written by film critic and not so right-wing nut Michael Medved. I couldn't quite understand it, as Medved is one of the courageous few in right-wing talk radio who stood up and opposed Trump. At great personal cost, by the way. He lost his radio show on the Salem Radio Network, which also employs Prager. The only thing I can figure is that Dennis, being a good friend of Medved's, felt sorry for Mikey and wanted to throw some money his way. Hey, Mikey, would you be willing to write something for us that's truly horrific? The second thing to note is that first shot in the video of the Robert E. Lee statue is more despicable than you think. I'm a cinematographer. I've shot feature films, commercials, medical shows, news, events, you name it. And that shot of the statue circling the subject, keeping the subject centered, and shooting it from a low angle is called a hero shot. It is ennobling, and in this case, a way to give your white supremacist friends an erection that lasts for more than 4 hours.
Statues of great historical figures, like Robert E. Lee, are being torn down across America. Here are some facts about Lee that remind us why his statue should remain. Robert E. Lee was connected to George Washington through his father, Light Horse Harry Lee.
First of all, to those of you who have previously fallen victim to PragerU videos, there is no genuine difference between the stupidity you will see throughout this video and other videos put out by my alma mater, PragerU. Go Devils! This is the same exact kind of PragerU reasoning, or lack thereof, I am used to debunking now here on this channel. For the record, I'm connected to Washington too. I was there just a few years back. I stayed with my friends Ken and Carol. While there, we all ate Washington apples, and I listened to the Stone song Wild Horses. Washington has 5,000 wild horses on the Yakima Indian Reservation. We also did a ton of washing, both clothes and dishes. I like to help out when I stay with friends. That's just the kind of guy I am. I'm ready for my statue now, and I haven't actually killed anyone or committed treason.
After 30 years of military service, Lee led U.S. Marines to crush the attempted slave rebellion by radical abolitionist John Brown in October 1859.
Wait, what? Did they just say that Robert E. Lee's statue should remain because he helped crush a slave rebellion? That can't be right. Play that again.
Lee led U.S. Marines to crush the attempted slave rebellion.
Holy jumping fucking Jesus, they did. That was... Okay, well, I guess it's time for some sculptor to start working on the statues of Franz Stangl and Jürgen Stroop, who helped crush the uprisings in the Warsaw Ghetto and the Sobibor Nazi death camp. What the fuck? If anyone deserves a statue, it's John fucking Brown, who was not a very nice man, by the way. That's my understanding. But at least he was on the right side of history. What the fuck, Dennis? We don't talk for 15 years and you turn into George Wallace?
Lee deemed slavery a moral and political evil in any country, but considered it a greater evil to the white man than to the black race.
And that's who we should really be concerned about here, right? Because while slavery was indeed a devastating moral and political evil, as Lee noted, no one suffered more than Whitey. That's the real reason slavery should have ended. It was destroying the white folk.
Since blacks are immeasurably better off here than in Africa.
You see, Lee really did have the well-being of blacks in mind when he was murdering all those Americans who failed to realize just how good those black slaves had it here in America. How amazing is it that people like Prager in the 21st century still think a white man has the right to tell a black man or woman when he or she is better off? Fuck you, Dennis. It should never have been a matter of better off. It should always have been a matter of equal to. But stay tuned for a new PragerU video featuring Thomas Sowell and Walter Williams, who will tell us how helpful it would be for blacks in Africa to come to America now as indentured servants. Or full-on slaves, either way.
Opposing secession, Lee foresaw no greater calamity for the country than a dissolution of the Union. But when Virginia seceded in a close vote, Lee resigned his commission. Despite offers to command Union forces, Lee opted to organize the defense of his native state. After 4 years as Confederate commander, Lee became an icon of reconciliation upon his surrender.
And we can all see how well that reconciliation thing went, right? Jim Crow, segregation, redlining, voter suppression, lynchings, blatant, brutal racism, etc. Lee was an icon of naivete. Here's one of his brilliant insights. The idea that the Southern people are hostile to the Negroes and would oppress them if it were in their power to do so is entirely unfounded. Sounds like the Roberts Court on the Voting Rights Act. Motherfuckers! Lee should have been an icon of treason, villainy, and cowardice. A man who murdered his fellow countrymen in violation of his oath so that white men and women could continue to own black men and women. He opposed secession and then fought for the secessionists. Is there anyone there at PragerU who understands what it means to have the courage of one's convictions? What am I thinking? Of course not. Of course not. You're shilling for big oil and the like. What a stupid question on my part. Forgive me. I'm sorry. But generally speaking, you don't fight for something to which you're opposed. What's next? A Lindsey Graham statue? Ted Cruz Boulevard? The GOP Museum of Obsequiousness and Sycophancy featuring Mitch McConnell, Mike Pence, and the Frightened 43? Again, fuck you, Dennis.
As president of Virginia's Washington College, he favored education for freed slaves but opposed their right to vote.
Here's what Lee said. My opinion is that at this time, they, black Southerners, cannot vote intelligently. And giving them the vote would lead to a great deal of demagogism and lead to embarrassments in various ways. Said the treasonous leader of the humiliated South who voted with his entire life force to embrace the demagoguery of the Confederacy and bring utter destruction to his country in violation of his oath. Whew. Good thing we didn't let them black folk have a say.
Lee died from a stroke in 1870 and is buried beneath Lee Chapel in what's now Washington and Lee University. His legendary warhorse Traveler rests in a plot nearby.
Well, why didn't you say that right from the beginning? His horse is buried nearby. Of course, that deserves a statue honoring him. Clearly, that takes precedence over the treason and the killing of Americans thing. I don't know what I was thinking. I apologize for everything I've said prior. For PragerFU, I'm me. Thanks for watching.